What do I do now? All right. Comparing and interpreting rates. So we're going to do some converting here, which I think I'm quite certain you've done that in IAPR, Intro to Applied Pre-Cal. So we'll kind of review some of that and then we'll take it a little further. So here are some of the rates that I would like you to have on your study sheet. Okay, so I would definitely say these ones. Anything else past this, anything past that, if I give you any weird ones after this, I will give you those on the question. Okay, and you can feel free on a test or quiz or AC, you can say, Mr. Dixon, you never gave us this one. Come and see me, and usually if I ask a bunch of students and they all agree, I'll be like, okay, this is what the conversion rate is. Okay. Okay, so given these conversion rates here, maybe just to clarify, here you kind of have your imperial system. This is all imperial. Your feet to inches, yards to feet to inches, and so forth. And here you have, if you look at this middle one here, you're going from metric or imperial, sorry, imperial to metric and vice versa. And then these ones I call miscellaneous. This is more like mass and volume, if you want to call it that way. Mass and volume conversions. That's the third one there. And these are the most popular ones that you're going to need here. Okay. I'm going to leave the middle here empty for now. Okay. I will get back to it maybe tomorrow. For now, we're just going to focus on converting already. Okay, converting from one unit to another. So let's start here. If you want to go from miles to feet, so 200 miles to feet, this is how I show my work. And I want you to show some sort of work where you show me the steps where you got from one to the other. I will just start with 200 miles. And then I will multiply it by the conversion rate or factor. And it's usually a fraction. Okay. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit. And you see, sometimes it's a one step, sometimes you require multiple steps. So when you go from miles to feet, if you look up here, miles, right? 1 mile has this many feet. You see that one? So what you want to do is, it's important where you place it. So in this case, I'm going to put the mile down here, the 1 mile down here in the denominator. And the reason I do that is so that these two will cancel out. And the feet, I put it up here, 5280. Okay. And so I cancel out the miles. I'm going to use a red pen or something, just showing it. The mile in the denominator here cancels out with the mile in the denominator, in the numerator up here. And then you just grab your calculator. I'm going to use the one you're going to be using in a bit. So just go 200 times 5280. And that's what you get, 105. So 1,056,000 feet. Okay, so that's your final answer there. That was a one-step question. The next one, you're going from centimeters to feet. Okay, so you start with the measurement you're given, and you're going to multiply it by conversion factor, or maybe 2. Maybe you need to take a longer route to get there. So I'm going to look up Do I have something that gets me from inches, centimeters to feet? Do I have anything like that up here? And the answer is right here. If you look at this one, it compares feet and centimeters. That's the one you're going to use. Okay. It does matter where you put the numbers though. The 30.48, that's the one that's in centimeters. That's the one I'm going to have in the denominator. And then the 1 foot goes up here. And so if you look at it again, this centimeter here will cancel with a centimeter and you're left with feet, which is what you want your answer to be in. So you grab your calculator. It is really, because this is going to change as you go, it's 347 times 1, irrelevant, right? We're not going to do that. And then divide it by 30.48. So 347 divided by 30.48. That's 11.38. The standard rounding is 2. Okay, final answer. Sorry, you can't see. 11.38. There we go. So this is 11.38 feet. So you have one example here where the 1 was in the denominator, simply because miles, you wanted the miles in the denominator. Here, centimeters were in the denominator, the 1 went up there. Okay. Should I give you the shortcuts? I think I'm going to give you the shortcuts, or did I add that already? I did add it, so never mind. Like this table here has, notice that 1 yard has this many meters, and 1 yard has 91.44 centimeters. So I just multiplied this by 100. So sometimes you want to use this one, sometimes you're going to use that one. It depends on the scenario. Let's do the next one here. Millimeters to inches. So again, you start with that. Do we have millimeters to inches? Do we have one? No, right? Okay. So some of you are going to do it in different ways, and I'm okay with that as long as you show me the work. What I do see up there, I have, you see the 1 centimeters to millimeters there? 1 centimeter has 10 millimeters. It's way up there. Like, let me show you way up here. It's way over here. So what I'm going to do is, this allows me to cancel millimeters with millimeters. Now I've converted this to centimeters so far. And I'm just going to add that next step. I'm going to make this line a little shorter because I don't need that much. Now I have one that gets me from centimeters to inches. And it's this one up here. So I'm going to put the 2.54, that's in centimeters. I want that in the denominator to cancel the centimeters up here. And this would be 1 inch right there. Okay. I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to use blue to show that this cancels out there. You can use highlighters, whatever you want, but then it shows, right? These two canceled out there, and then these two canceled out there. And here's where I will warn you. I will actually multiply across at the top, which is so irrelevant right now because it's times 1 and 1, right? But this times this times this gives you this. And then the denominator, it's 10 times 2.54, which is 25.4. And all you're left with is inches because all the other units got canceled out. Don't talk so fast. Slow down. Okay, 27.45 divided by 25.4. That's 1.08. Yeah, sure. 1.08 inches. Okay, where are we at time-wise? I will fast forward a little bit. So we're going to leave this one. I'm going to see here. We're going to skip to page 3 now. We're not going to do the top, like we're not going to do E and F just yet. I don't know if you noticed, those are squared units. I'm going to leave those for now. Okay. We're going to go to converting rates. Okay. So just a little bit more, and then I'm going to call it today, okay? Page 3, where it says converting rates, 2 measurements that are in different units, that's our rate. Okay. So for example, if it says 42 gallons for every minute, right? It's not, before we just had gallons, turn it to liters perhaps, right? Now we have gallons per minute, you want it to liters per hour. Okay. So this is, you do it exactly the same way, there's just more components at play. So you go 42 gallons and then you put 1 minute. That's really what that is saying. And what we're going to focus on is the first order of business is for me to go from gallons to liters. That's going to be my first objective here. So don't worry about the minute just yet. We're going to deal with that in a little while. So do you see the conversion rates from gallons to liters? I'm going to cheat because I have the original copy here. I always forget, is it 3.78? 79. Okay. So we're going to say, where does the 1 gallon go? Top or bottom? Bottom, right? Why, Mr. Dirksen? Because I want to cancel out gallons. That's why it's important to put it here. And then you go to 3.79 liters are going to go up top. Bingo, we got rid of the gallons. So I'm going to go ka-chink, chink, right? What do I need to do next? Get rid of the minutes. I want it in hours, right? So, how about this? 1 hour has 60 minutes. And if you have a different color, you show, right, that the minutes here will cancel out with the minutes there. And I see too many students, they kind of get this wrong when it's time to calculate this. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and then divide at the end. We all know that the bottom is 1, so in this case, it's not such a big deal. What do we get there? It's 9,550.8 liters per hour. So this could be a pump question, right? A pump is pumping 42 gallons per minute. What would it be in liters per hour? Right? So here you have it. And if you look at it, there's liters and hours is the only thing that isn't canceled out. Okay. This is the last thing that I'm going to do here. Just make sure you all have this written down. So converting rates is the same thing as just converting like the normal conversion from one unit to the other. It's just that now you have basically 2 units at the same time. That's all. That's the only difference. Now I want you to pay attention. If it says, if you have a question that's like, hey, if this is true, answer this. So if it says how many liters in 5.5 hours, right? When it gives you the hours, but you're missing the liters, that's when you set up a proportion. Set up a proportion. Do we know what that is? Cross multiply and divide. Have you ever heard of that? Okay, that's what a proportion is. Fancy name. Stop using fancy names. Just use what we know. Okay, 9,550.8 liters over 1 hour, because that's what you just figured out, is equal to, where would the 5.5 hours go? In this case, it's a proportion, guys. It's equal. You line up your units. You know how over here we were always putting them in the opposite order to cancel out? Not when it's a proportion, because there's an equal sign. So we could put the 5.5 hours here, and this would be my X, or Y, or whatever you want to call it. And here's the little cheat. I always use this one. You're okay in my class, you might not be okay in a different class. I go to the side where the variable is, then I start with the number, and you have to cross multiply up in this case, and then you have to divide by what is left over. It works every time. But that's just to help you out. What I want you to show me is 5.5 hours times 9550.8 liters divided by 1 hour. What's going to happen with these 2 hours here? That one and that one cancels out, right? So all you're left with is liters. And that gives you 52,529.4 liters. And I want you to also learn to not just blindly believe your answer, but actually see, does it make sense? And if you think about it, it's almost 10,000 liters in 1 hour. So 5 hours, it stands to reason that we're in the 50,000s, right? Okay, so what I want you to do, I just want you to try page 3, okay? Homework, page 3. If you cannot do it all because you're stuck, and I'm looking at the bottom, the last two, that's fine. On page 3, the last two, if you cannot do those, that's fine with me. Okay? And I'll post the key to that as well. Thank you, guys. You survived.